Have you ever observed your canine companion and witnessed something that quietly stopped your thoughts? An act of intuition that seemed to border on the impossible. If you have, it is important to understand this is not merely a random event. In truth, you may be witnessing a profound shift in connection, a truth spoken of in ancient wisdom, which teaches that all life is interconnected. This is not a vision from one person's sleep, but an awakening we can all see in broad daylight. Timeless teachings, found across many cultures, have always pointed to a deeper order of things. They spoke of periods of great change, of challenges that would push humanity to grow, and they spoke of nature as our guide. It is shared that at a key point in our journey, the creatures closest to us would reflect our own evolving consciousness. This wisdom does not come from a single voice, but from observing the very laws of nature. It speaks of how animals, in their purity, evolve alongside us. And among all life forms, dogs hold a truly unique space in the human heart. The guardians on four legs will show their deeper nature when humanity begins to vibrate with a new awareness. This is a timeless idea. It suggests they become living bridges between the world we see and the world we feel. They are our teachers, disguised in plain sight, here to remind us of what unconditional love truly is. Ancient perspectives describe dogs as living spiritual compasses, beings capable of sensing the subtle flow of energy, feeling what is to come, and bringing harmony through their quiet presence. These traditions saw that these animals hold abilities that we as humans have perhaps forgotten, but that can be reawakened within us, especially during times of great global shifts. What is most profound is that these old teachings pointed to the exact conditions for this awakening. They said the signs would become clear when humanity faces profound collective trials, widespread health crises, changes in our natural world, rapid technological growth, and a powerful, shared search for deeper meaning. A closer look at this wisdom reveals three distinct expressions of this evolving bond. The first would be an incredible ability to sense imbalances in health and in the environment, long before they physically appear. The second would involve a silent communication, a connection of heart and mind with their human companions. The third, and most transformative, would see them become true harmonizers of energy, capable of calming turbulent emotions and clearing a space for healing to occur. When a web of light connects all human minds, a wise text might say, referring to our interconnected world, the dogs will step into their true purpose. They will no longer be seen just as pets. They will be our willing partners in the elevation of human awareness. What makes this insight even more compelling is the understanding that many of these souls, these dogs who enter our families during this period, have chosen to be here, that they are advanced beings who chose an animal form to help guide our transformation. Pure awareness, wrapped in a familiar, furry form. But here is the most important point. This is not about a distant future. It is about what is unfolding within and around you. At this very moment, the signals spoken of in quiet traditions are now manifesting clearly all around us. Dogs sensing illness before any test can. Companions offering comfort at the precise moment it is needed, even across distances. Animals that seem to bring a deep sense of peace to a troubled home. Instances of unspoken understanding between dogs and people. None of this is by chance. It is the expression of a timeless truth unfolding before our very eyes. The only question is, are you open to seeing that your companion might be far more than you have ever imagined? Because once you understand the depth of this connection, you will never look at your four-legged friend in the same way again. A great awakening is happening, and if you quiet your mind and observe, you will likely see it is already happening in your own home. A timeless teaching tells a story. In a moment of deep collective contemplation, a vision emerged, a picture of a future where dogs would hold a completely new role in our world. A clear insight came through. I see the four-legged guardians in their true light. As the Earth's consciousness shifts to a new frequency, dogs will become knowing bridges between the realms of form and spirit. They are not merely animals, but gentle masters here to teach humanity about boundless love and a connection that goes beyond words. This ancient wisdom speaks of three distinct waves, or layers, of this awakening. The first layer would unfold as humanity itself began a mass spiritual turning inward, a period we are in right now. In this phase, dogs would develop an intuitive sense for healing, able to detect discord and illness on a subtle level. The second layer would be even more profound. It described dogs forming a direct, silent communication with their human companions, responding to a thought before a word is ever spoken. They would begin to appear at your side exactly when you need emotional support, guided by an intelligence that seems to flow from the heart of life itself. The third and most powerful layer would reveal dogs as true harmonizers of space. They would possess the ability to quiet the energetic noise in homes, in healing spaces, and even within people moving through deep emotional pain. The teaching described this ability as a form of emotional alchemy, the power to transform suffering into peace simply by their steady, loving presence. What makes this ancient perspective so powerful is the time in which many of these teachings originated. During eras when dogs were seen simply as workers or guards, the very idea that they could have these deep spiritual or therapeutic roles would have seemed unthinkable to the common mindset of the time. The wisdom was even more specific about the kinds of dogs this transformation would touch. It saw that this potential exists in all dogs, purebred or mixed, but that animals who have been rescued or adopted would often have an even stronger link to their purpose, as if the act of being saved awakened them to a higher mission. During that same moment of insight, a truth was shared that left many in a state of quiet contemplation. It said that many dogs arriving in our lives during this time of awakening are actually evolved souls, beings who chose an animal form to help humanity in its transformation, beings of pure light, disguised as our loyal companions. This wisdom also included a gentle but important reminder. It foresaw that not everyone would be ready to perceive these changes in their companions. Many would see this special behavior as simple chance or animal instinct. But those who are on a path of awareness would be able to form extraordinary partnerships with their canine friends. The most striking aspect of this perspective was its clarity on when this would all begin to unfold. It pointed to a time when humanity would face great global tests, challenges to our health, our planet, and our technologies. Exactly the world we are navigating today. If you share your home with a dog, you have probably noticed subtle shifts in their ways over these past years. Perhaps they follow you with a new kind of attention, grow still right before you arrive home, or show a heightened awareness of certain people and places. These are not isolated incidents. They are the first expressions of this profound truth manifesting right before our eyes. Around the world, those who work closely with animals began to report a curious pattern in recent times. Dogs that had always been predictable began to display a level of intuition that standard science struggles to explain. One behaviorist noted over many cases what he called emotional attunement, the ability to sense changes in their owner's inner state long before any physical signs appear. One of the most powerful stories involves a woman who works in a high-pressure environment. Her dog, a gentle retriever, began to act strangely whenever she prepared to leave for her job. He would calmly but firmly block the door, whine softly, and refuse to move. She first saw it as simple attachment, until she realized this only happened on days where she was most deeply stressed or about to face a major challenge at work. It was as if he knew I needed to stay home and find my center, she says. On the days he insisted I stay, something always occurred that made me grateful for the pause. I then understood he wasn't being difficult, he was protecting my peace. But these signs reach far beyond just emotional sensitivity. Research centers have documented cases of dogs developing an ability to detect disease with remarkable accuracy. This goes beyond what was previously known, extending to conditions like blood sugar imbalances, seizures, and even states of deep melancholy. Consider the story of a Labrador who began to obsessively nudge her owner's arm for several weeks straight. The owner ignored the behavior until the dog began to bark and gently scratch at that very spot. Concerned, he saw a doctor and discovered a small growth that routine exams had missed. The growth was precisely where his loving companion had been pointing. Animal shelters also began to observe significant changes. Dogs, once thought to be difficult to place, started to form instant, powerful bonds with certain visitors. It was as if they knew exactly which human soul was in need of their companionship in that moment. A shelter coordinator shared, "We started to feel that the dogs were choosing their people, not the other way around. They would walk directly to individuals going through hardship, a separation, a loss, an illness. It was as if they had a compass that pointed to who needed unconditional love the most." Another clear signal was the dramatic increase in certified therapy dogs across the world. In the span of a decade, the number of dogs trained for emotional support grew by several 100%. But what truly caught the attention of specialists was that many of these dogs demonstrated these calming abilities naturally, even before any formal training. Hospitals reported cases of visiting dogs who could identify which patients most needed company. They would walk past people who were stable and go directly to the beds of those in critical moments of recovery. Medical staff began to see this canine intuition as another indicator for patients needing special care. Animal behavior centers documented that dogs began to react to storms, earthquakes, and other natural events with increasing anticipation. Where they once showed restlessness hours before, some dogs now alert their families up to 2 days in advance. The most profound aspect of these early signs is their universality. It does not matter the breed, the age, or the history of the dog. These special qualities are emerging in all types of animals, from a small dog in a city apartment to a mixed breed on a country farm. All seem to be awakening to a potential that had laid dormant. And what is most amazing is that this was just the beginning. The signs we started to notice were only the first layer of this shared awakening. What was to come would be even more extraordinary. Imagine returning home after a difficult day, and as your dog draws near, you feel the weight on your shoulders simply dissolve. This is not just in your imagination. It is the manifestation of an ability that our canine companions are rapidly developing, the capacity to act as true purifiers of energy. A biologist who spent over a decade documenting unexplained animal phenomena has recorded many cases of dogs showing abilities far beyond what conventional science acknowledges. His work revealed that dogs all over the world are developing an extraordinary sensitivity to detect and harmonize the energies in their environments and in people. One well-known case involved a family who moved into an old house. After arriving, all of them began to have restless nights and a constant feeling of unease. Their German Shepherd started a peculiar routine. Every night, he would walk through the house, pausing at specific points and standing perfectly still for long moments, as if he were tending to something unseen. He performed a kind of ritual the mother shared. He would breathe deeply in certain corners, whine very softly, then shake his whole body as if releasing something. After his nightly rounds, we all slept with a profound peace. The family invited a specialist in environmental energies to assess the home. The specialist confirmed there were several points of stagnant energy located exactly where the dog would perform his nightly ritual. After a few weeks of this can practice, both the family and the specialist agreed that the feeling in the home had been completely transformed. Hospitals and clinics also started to see similar things happen with therapy dogs. Nurses reported that certain dogs could identify rooms where the energy felt heavy, and they would pause at the door until the space felt clearer. When they finally entered, the patients in those rooms showed remarkable improvements in their emotional and sometimes even physical state. Holistic therapists have begun to partner with these special dogs to deepen their treatments. During sessions focused on clearing emotional blockages, some dogs have shown an ability to absorb the dense energies released by clients. They then discharge that energy by yawning, trembling, or shaking their bodies. One Reiki therapist has worked with her dog for years during her practice. "My companion always settles at the client's feet," she explains. "When we touch upon a deep trauma or emotional block, she physically trembles as if processing that energy. Afterwards, she leaves the room, shakes it off, drinks some water, and returns completely refreshed." Homes that have been through traumatic events, such as deep arguments or loss, have reported that their dogs began to display these spontaneous harmonizing behaviors. They would walk systematically through the house, stop where conflicts had occurred, and lie down for long periods, as if absorbing and transmuting the lingering emotional residue. Some dogs have even developed the ability to neutralize dense energy through their touch. Reports of people feeling an instant sense of calm after a certain dog touches them have multiplied in recent years. It's not just a simple touch. It feels like a conscious transfer of peace. Consider the case of a rescued dog. Whenever someone arrived at his home feeling stressed or sad, this dog would approach and gently place his paw on the person for a few minutes. Without fail, every person reported an immediate feeling of relief and tranquility. "This dog seems to have an inner sense for who needs positive energy," his owner says. He is never wrong. And the most remarkable thing is that after these little sessions, people leave looking visibly lighter and more at peace. This spiritual evolution is not just about clearing energy. Many dogs are developing an ability to protect their homes and families from disharmonious external influences. They seem to sense when people with unsettled intentions are near, and they create a kind of energetic field of peace around the home. Social media platforms are now filled with videos of dogs doing things that seem to defy simple explanation. Dogs appearing as if from nowhere to shield children from harm. Pets waking entire families moments before a fire. Animals locating missing people in ways that logic cannot trace. These are not just isolated stories. They are manifestations of that third wave of connection, the guardian protector intensifying all around us. One case that drew global attention occurred in a small town. An 8-month-old mixed breed puppy began barking urgently in the middle of the night, scratching at her owner's bedroom door. The family woke, annoyed, thinking she just needed to go outside, but the dog ran directly to the room of their 6-month-old baby and continued to bark. When the parents reached the crib, they found their baby had stopped breathing. Doctors later confirmed that without the puppy's immediate intervention, the child would not have survived. What is most incredible is that this puppy had never shown any protective behaviors before. It was as if her guardian mission awakened in the exact moment of need. I invite you to consider this in your own life. Has your dog ever done something that left you speechless? An act of inexplicable rescue or protection? A prominent researcher at a university center for animal-human interaction has been collecting such accounts for years. His work now includes over 1,000 documented cases of dogs saving human lives in ways that science is still seeking to understand. What we are observing goes beyond standard protective instinct. This researcher explains. These dogs display a kind of precognitive awareness. They seem to know something is about to happen before any physical signs appear. It is as if they are tuned into a field of information we are not. This phenomenon grows even more profound when we see dogs who save complete strangers. In one recent event, a German shepherd escaped his yard and ran several blocks to a construction site. There, he began barking persistently at a group of workers, preventing them from entering one particular area. Just 20 minutes later, a heavy concrete structure collapsed in the exact spot where the dog had stood guard. He had never left the yard on his own, his owner stated, and there was no logical way for him to know about the danger. It felt like he was given a specific task in that moment. Before we continue, I wish to invite you to consider a path of quantum thinking, a 21-day journey to reprogram your mind, elevate your awareness, and unlock your true potential. For 3 weeks, you will receive daily practices to transform your inner frequency and begin attracting all that you desire. You can find this path in the first pinned comment. Now, simply imagine you are thinking of returning home, and your dog is already waiting by the door, even though you are miles away with no set schedule. Or your companion appears beside you precisely when a wave of sadness washes over you, even though you have shown no outward sign. This is not imagination. This is a real, silent communication happening between you and your dog. One biologist conducted the most detailed study ever done on this form of animal connection. Over 10 years, he documented more than 4,000 cases of dogs, demonstrating an ability to read their owner's thoughts and intentions from a distance. The results were so profound that they challenged our entire understanding of animal communication. His most famous experiment involved a small terrier who always knew the exact moment his owner was returning home. The owner worked irregular hours and used different means of travel each day. Cameras in the home showed the terrier becoming alert and moving to the window at the precise moment his owner made the decision to head home. Not when she left work, but at the very instant the intention to return formed in her mind. If we observed this for 2 years straight, the researcher explained, it didn't matter how she traveled or what time she left. The dog always knew the exact moment her intention was set. This silent communication is not limited to detecting coming and going. Dogs are demonstrating the ability to respond to specific mental requests. An animal trainer developed a simple experiment to test this. I began by asking owners to simply hold a command in their mind while looking at their dogs, she says. The results were astounding. Dogs were responding to silent thoughts for sit, come, or lie down with a success rate of over 75%. The most fascinating aspect of this canine empathy is its ability to transcend physical distance. Military service members have documented cases of dogs reacting to the dangers faced by their human companions in combat zones thousands of miles away. One veteran reports that his dog, who remained home in the US during his deployment, would become agitated and distressed on the exact days he was engaged in intense conflict. My wife began to note the days our dog was inconsolable. He said, when I returned and we compared her notes with my mission log, the dates aligned perfectly. Neuroscientists are now studying the mechanisms behind this silent communication. Through simultaneous brain scans of dogs and their owners, they have discovered patterns of synchronization that suggest a form of non-local connection between species. We have observed the brain waves of dogs and their owners synchronizing, even when they are in separate, soundproof rooms, explains one lead neuroscientist. It's as if there is a shared frequency that allows information to flow without a physical channel. This silent dialogue also appears through shared dreams. Hundreds of people report having vivid dreams where their dog appears with a specific message or an alert about a situation in their waking life. Have you ever paused to ask why these transformations in our canine companions are happening right now? Why are dogs all around the world simultaneously awakening to abilities that seemed like pure fantasy just a few decades ago? The answer is connected to something much larger than just the animals themselves. It is tied to a planetary shift in awareness, a deep change that timeless wisdom has always foretold. According to these teachings, our world was destined to enter a new phase of evolution in this current era, a time marked by an acceleration of collective human consciousness. This period was described as a great awakening, when both humans and animals would develop dormant spiritual abilities to navigate the profound transformations of this planetary transition. When humanity faces its deepest challenges, one ancient teaching says, the four-legged guardians will awaken to guide and protect us during the passage into a new way of being. They will serve as anchors of unconditional love in turbulent times. A renowned physician and researcher of consciousness created a scale to measure the collective energetic level of humanity. His studies show that since the turn of the millennium, human consciousness has been undergoing an unprecedented acceleration. It has been leaping from levels of basic survival to levels of spiritual awakening at a pace that would normally span centuries. We are witnessing a real-time evolution of consciousness, he explained. And animals, especially dogs, are responding to this rise in awareness by developing abilities that connect them more deeply with the human experience. The timing is impossible to ignore. The first intense manifestations of these special canine abilities began to be widely documented at the dawn of the 21st century, exactly when humanity experienced one of the greatest collective shocks of our modern time. It was as if our animal companions received a cosmic signal to begin their mission of spiritual support. Researchers at an institute that studies the heart's intelligence discovered that major, traumatic global events generate measurable electromagnetic waves that affect the entire planet's energy field. These waves not only influence human behavior, but also seem to activate evolutionary responses in domesticated animals, especially those with deep emotional bonds to us. Dogs function as living antennas for these planetary energetic shifts, explains a director of research there. They are responding to frequencies that we humans are only just beginning to comprehend scientifically. The global pandemic marked another crucial milestone in this canine awakening. Veterinary reports from all over the world documented an explosion of unusual behaviors in dogs during the lockdowns. Animals that had never before shown any special sensitivity began to display profound emotional detection, energetic healing, and even premonition. It felt as though the collective emotional intensity of humanity activated something dormant in dogs, says one behavioral veterinarian. In 2 years, I received more reports of intuitive canine behaviors than in my entire career before that. This phenomenon is not limited to difficult events. Global celebrations, collective meditations, and mass movements of spiritual intent also generate waves of energy that amplify these canine abilities. During major astronomical events like solar eclipses or supermoons, animal research centers have documented spikes in telepathic activity and healing behaviors in dogs worldwide. Quantum physicists have started to theorize that dogs may be accessing what they call the collective morphogenetic field, a non-local network of information that connects all living consciousness on the planet. As humanity raises its own awareness through crisis, growth, and spiritual seeking, dogs automatically tune in to these higher frequencies. Dogs have always been sensitive to subtle energy fields, explains one quantum physicist. But now, as human consciousness expands, they are accessing levels of quantum information that allow them to function as bridges between dimensions of reality. Our modern digital age also plays a crucial role. The same technology that instantly connects billions of human minds is creating a planetary electromagnetic field that may be amplifying dogs' natural psychic sensitivity. They are literally sensing the waves of information flowing through our global communication networks. Spiritual centers around the world report that their resident dogs have begun to display special behaviors synchronized with global meditations and collective prayer. During events centered on world peace or environmental healing, these animals spontaneously enter deep states of calm and stillness. Our dogs become living barometers of the rise in planetary consciousness, shares a lama from a Buddhist center. When humanity unites in positive intention, our canine companions respond instantly, radiating a peace that amplifies the collective energy even further. Astrologers and students of cosmic cycles point out that we are in what many ancient traditions call an aura of transition, a period when planetary consciousness undergoes a fundamental shift. Dogs, as beings who are naturally attuned to cosmic rhythms, are serving as catalysts and guides for this transition. Dogs are the first to catch the new frequencies arriving on our planet, explains one researcher of cosmic cycles. They are showing us what the next phase of conscious evolution will be like: more telepathic, more empathetic, more energetically connected. The urgent challenges facing our climate and environment have also activated a kind of collective preservation instinct in dogs. They seem to understand on a deep level that their spiritual evolution is directly tied to the survival and evolution of human consciousness. Evolutionary biologists suggest we are witnessing what could be called accelerated symbiotic evolution. This is when two species evolve rapidly in response to extreme environmental pressures, developing traits that mutually benefit their survival. Dogs are evolving to become our conscious partners in navigating the planetary challenges we face, explains one evolutionary biologist. They are developing the exact skills we need: intuition, healing, early detection of problems, and emotional support to make it through this critical time in human history. The canine awakening is not an isolated event. It is part of a grander, cosmic orchestration that is preparing both humans and animals for a new phase of existence on this planet. It seems dogs have consciously chosen to take on the role of guides, healers, and protectors during this pivotal transition. This helps explain why so many people who share their lives with a dog report the feeling that their dog chose them, that they arrived with a specific purpose, or that they are so much more than just a pet. Because, in truth, they are our conscious partners in one of the greatest transformations planetary consciousness has ever known. This ancient wisdom was never just about the future. It was a guide for a reality that has already arrived. Right now, as you listen to these words, millions of dogs all over the world are acting as living bridges between dimensions, as energetic healers, and as spiritual guardians for humanity. The question is no longer, will this happen? The question is, how will you prepare your heart and mind for this new reality? If you share your home with a dog, you need to understand they may be far more than you currently perceive. Recent observations suggest that a vast majority of domestic dogs exhibit at least one special ability that their human companions initially dismiss as coincidence. Learning to recognize and nurture these abilities can completely transform your relationship and open channels of communication you never thought possible. The first step is to simply observe. Watch for patterns in your dog's behavior that go beyond simple instinct. Does your dog appear by your side at the very moment you feel sad, even if you are in another room? Do they become restless just before an unexpected visitor arrives? Do they show a focused interest in a specific part of your body that later reveals itself to be a source of tension or a health concern? These are not random behaviors. They are the expressions of spiritual abilities unfolding. An expert in animal communication developed a simple practice for identifying these gifts. Observe if your dog responds to your thoughts before you speak. Try mentally calling them from another room with clear, loving intent. Notice if they react to your emotions even when you are trying to hide them. These are clear indicators of an active, silent communication. To nurture these abilities, create daily moments of conscious connection with your dog. Sit with them in silence for just 10 or 15 minutes. Make gentle eye contact, and in your mind, send them feelings of gratitude and love. Many people report that this simple practice dramatically enhances the silent communication with their companions. For those who do not yet have a dog, be open to recognizing when a special animal crosses your path. It is said that dogs with a specific spiritual mission often choose their human families through remarkable synchronicities. They may appear at the exact moment you need them most, display an instant and undeniable connection, or arrive in your life through circumstances that feel like destiny. Entirely new fields of work are emerging to support this new reality. Animal communicators, facilitators of the human-canine bond, trainers in telepathic skills, and therapists who work with human-dog pairs are becoming more and more sought after. Technology is also adapting. Applications that monitor the energetic synchronization between humans and dogs. Devices that measure the electromagnetic fields in homes with special pets. And platforms that connect people with dogs who show similar abilities are all changing our understanding of this evolutionary partnership. Your dog may be one of the gentle masters spoken of in the old traditions, and you may be one of the people chosen to be a part of this transformation, a shift that is redefining what it means to be human on a planet where consciousness is evolving at an incredible pace.